Hello, and welcome to our sixth Chalk Talk in our series on Agile data integration. One step that is particularly time-consuming, especially for development, is the ability to estimate the project scope based on impact analysis. In other words, if we need to change an object or objects as part of a data integration project, what's the scope of that change, and what other data objects, mappings, reports, and other artifacts are impacted? Well, typically the way this is done, or at least one way, is a developer is going to search the source code control for the reports, data objects, mappings, other objects essentially that are impacted or that he thinks may be impacted. The developer then, using some of an ad hoc approach, reviews the code to determine what other artifacts in turn is affected, that is reports and other objects, and looks at their source code and basically iterates through this process of going into source code control, reviewing the code, and finally compiling a list of reports and artifacts that need to be changed or retested. The developer will estimate the amount of effort to build or change these objects and unit test them, and then also needs to get an estimate from QA in terms of how long it's going to take to retest, whether it's regression testing or what have you, the other affected objects. All this, you can see, is a fairly manually intensive effort and can take quite some time with a lot of really non-value added activity in between. We can improve this with metadata management, because Informatica's metadata management provides the data lineage to see where the data is coming from and where it's going, and to provide a complete and comprehensive impact analysis of all the objects and artifacts that are affected. How do we do this? Well, here you see the lineage of an object, both upstream and downstream. And we can also look at a flat list of everything that's impacted, once again, both downstream and upstream. So here, if we were to change a table, say in a data warehouse, we could see what other reports might be affected and therefore need to be retested. Let's take a closer look with a demonstration. Here we are in the Metadata Manager and Business Glossary catalog. And let's find the report that needs to change so that we can see where the data is coming from, first of all. So we're going to take a look at the lineage. Here's the report, and we see that the data is coming from a data warehouse. And if we click on the object within the data warehouse that's going to change as a result of this data integration project, we can look at it in the business glossary and see a flat list of all the other reports that access this table. So if we were to change this table, that means we need to retest all these reports. And that concludes our sixth Chalk Talk in our series on Agile data integration. Thank you.